They want us to skate through a chaotic metropolis built on heists, high-speed chases, and unfiltered rebellion. But can we really handle that kind of freedom? That might sound like the wildest rumor you have heard in a long time, yet it captures the electrifying essence of one of the biggest questions swirling around Grand Theft Auto 6. Yes, we are talking about the tantalizing possibility of skateboarding in a franchise best known for its heart-pounding shootouts and glamorous criminal escapades. Today we are going to unravel exactly why this dream is so thrilling and why it might be the most complicated addition Rockstar Games could ever implement. In this deep dive, we will explore the exhilarating vision of weaving skateboarding mechanics into Grand Theft Auto 6's massive sandbox, the legitimate obstacles that could crush that dream before it even starts, and the fascinating ways such a feature could change how we navigate crime and chaos in this beloved universe. If you have ever revved an engine on the beaches of Vice City or navigated the winding roads of San Andreas, you know the stunning scope and variety that the Grand Theft Auto series has to offer. Each new installment pushes boundaries further, making the world more alive, more interactive, and more prone to delightful chaos. Racing stolen cars through neon-lit streets, hijacking helicopters for spontaneous joyrides, or slipping down a back alley with only half a health bar are hallmark experiences for fans across every continent. But picture this: weaving through traffic on a skateboard, jumping off curbs to escape a wave of sirens, or grinding along the edges of towering downtown architecture as you attempt to outrun the entire city's finest. Is it a pipe dream or an upcoming revolution in how we experience open-world gaming? Before we jump into the reasons skateboarding feels like such a natural yet out-of-reach addition to Grand Theft Auto 6, let us set the stage with a critical question. How does the series maintain its delicate balance between authenticity and over-the-top fantasy? After all, Grand Theft Auto 5 introduced everything from tennis matches to golfing and triathlons, letting players take a break from life-or-death getaways to enjoy comedic subplots and odd street encounters. Part racing game, part drama, part comedic experience, Grand Theft Auto embraces an eclectic range of activities within that single sprawling city. Skateboarding, on the surface, appears to be a fantastic fit. Another mode of transportation, another skill-based pastime, and another source of comedic chaos. Yet the underlying complexity might prove too daunting. We have to consider the swirl of rumors, speculation, and raw hope that skateboarding could appear in Grand Theft Auto 6. Enthusiasts have pointed to certain textures in older games that look suspiciously like ramps, or data-mined references to animations that might hint at half-finished boards. And while some of these might have been mere placeholders or leftover bits of coding from other prototypes, they have fueled lively conversations about the possibilities. So, let us embrace the dream for just a moment. Imagine the synergy between a game like Tony Hawk's Underground and the open-world playground of a new Rockstar masterpiece. Even if the skateboarding mechanics were not as advanced as a dedicated skateboarding simulator, the combination of fluid ollies or kickflips with the gritty urban pandemonium that defines Grand Theft Auto is nothing short of breathtaking. However, as soon as we entertain that dream, a parade of challenges stomps onto the stage. We know that Rockstar is perfectionist to the core, whether it is the realistic bullet impacts, lifelike driving physics, or intricately detailed cityscapes. The developers notoriously spend years polishing every facet of gameplay. One reason Grand Theft Auto 5 remains so praised is the attention to detail, how each gun has its own recoil pattern, how the weather system dynamically affects road friction, how bicycles handle differently from dirt bikes, which, in turn, handle differently from muscle cars. Now, bring in skateboarding. Imagine the additional complexity of programming surfaces across countless curbs, benches, rails, and building ledges so that a player could seamlessly grind and jump. Picture the animations required for a single routine skate session across all these objects. The transitions in stance, the trick animations, the collisions that cause the player to bail. The scale of potential work is enormous, and it might overshadow everything else Rockstar wishes to accomplish in Grand Theft Auto 6. But let us not allow that labyrinth of coding requirements to deter our imaginations. The very reason fans fall in love with the idea is the feeling of boundless freedom. Grand Theft Auto is already famous for letting you tear across the metropolis in stolen taxis, or commandeer a city bus to create traffic anarchy. Why not dramatically expand that sense of freedom by letting players hop off their vehicles, whip out a skateboard, and speed away through narrow alleyways where cars cannot follow? You feel the adrenaline surging as you weave around unsuspecting pedestrians, maybe even grabbing onto a passing truck to pick up speed without a hint of remorse. In fact, that single action, known as skitching, would be a total game changer. But it also raises questions about how you would adapt the handle of each vehicle, the risk of collision, or the likelihood of being flung across the pavement when the truck driver decides to swerve into an oncoming lane. Each aspect adds more complexity behind the scenes. Meanwhile, imagine the infinite comedic potential, holding a skateboard as you walk into a convenience store to buy snacks, only to realize you are being hunted by a rival gang, then busting out a hasty escape on your board, weaving between crates, leaping off a broken fence, and disappearing into a hidden skate park in the city's industrial zone. Grand Theft Auto thrives on these little comedic or dramatic scenarios that players craft for themselves, often unpredictably. And with skateboarding, the unpredictability skyrockets. In your mind, you are Tony Hawk, but in reality, you just crashed face first into a billboard, sending your ragdoll character tumbling onto unsuspecting traffic, triggering a hilarious chain reaction. These moments, seemingly random but strangely orchestrated by the game's physics system, are part of the everlasting charm of Grand Theft Auto. That is why skateboarding feels like it belongs there, if only the developers had infinite time to perfect it. So, are we stuck with a dream that will never come to life? Possibly. There are compelling reasons that skateboard integration remains low on Rockstar's to-do list. Number 1, resources. As fans, we are used to the idea that large studios can do anything if they throw enough manpower at it. But game development is notoriously about making tough choices. Do you spend months refining a skateboard system that might be enjoyed by some fraction of players? Or do you push that time and budget into perfecting the core storyline, the driving mechanics, the main character animations, or augmenting the robust multiplayer experience? Number 2, physics conflicts. Implementing a skateboard in a game that already tries to keep its own sense of realistic gravity and consistent inertia means potential issues with collisions, momentum, and hooking into existing structures that were never intended for a skateboard to lock onto. Yet, you can hear the echoes of players around the globe shouting, "Come on, Rockstar, do it for the sake of chaotic fun." Remember the satisfaction of skydiving from a plane, parachuting onto a mountaintop, and then jumping onto a dirt bike in your favorite Grand Theft Auto installment. Doubling that sense of excitement with skateboarding would be revolutionary. You aspire to outrun a 5-star wanted level, using nothing more than a plank of wood and 4 wheels. You plan to tilt your body just enough while zooming through corridors of glass and steel so that the sirens behind you fade. The fantasy is golden. Let us also not forget that many open-world games rely on expansions, updates, or modding communities to fill in the gaps. If Rockstar does not provide official skateboarding functionality, we might see an underground wave of mod creators trying to piece it together themselves, though it might never match professionally crafted animations. And now, if you are enjoying this exploration of what might be the most audacious addition to Grand Theft Auto 6, consider giving this scenario a like or sharing it with a friend. These little interactions go a long way, and they let us know that you are just as excited about the possibilities of open-world mayhem as we are. Let us step away from the starry-eyed fantasy of half-pipes and elaborate rooftop transfers for a moment, and look at Grand Theft Auto's track record of side activities. The developers excel at building worlds that can sustain a huge range of mini-games, from investing in real estate to performing yoga sessions. Each small addition acts as a window into the city's culture, the protagonist's personality, and the comedic extremes these games can reach. Skateboarding, though, might represent a bigger conceptual leap than, say, a basketball mini-game or a casual fishing detour. Those simpler additions do not necessarily require layers of advanced physics or the ability to attach to and manipulate the environment around you. Skateboarding is, in many ways, a statement feature. It expands the idea of personal expression, letting you carve your own path through alleyways or manipulate the environment with each trick. One detail we cannot overlook is that skateboarding would not simply be about motion. It implies a culture. In real life, skateboarding thrives on music, style, legendary skate spots, and a certain underground ethos. Think about Tony Hawk's Underground or Skate, where the vibe goes hand in hand with the moves. That subculture, if integrated into Grand Theft Auto 6, might require custom skate shops, brand collaborations for boards and shoes, edgy music tracks, or even dedicated skate crews. The city would need places that cater to these subcultures, from humble ramps to bigger skate parks. That is a large chunk of game design, not just mechanics, which is presumably more akin to launching a whole sub-franchise within an already massive game. Fun? Absolutely. But for Rockstar, the question lingers. Does it make sense to invest so heavily in a feature that sits at the edges of the broader criminal empire storyline? Where does that leave the notion of pulling off daredevil stunts as you ascend through the ranks of an underground crime syndicate, potentially in an awkward position? Or maybe, ironically, it is the perfect synergy. Recall older rumors swirling around Vice City's neon playground. Some fans wanted to see rollerblades, or some other radical way of moving that highlights the beach culture. Skateboarding in that environment would naturally fit, bridging the gap between the iconic pastel aesthetic and modern gameplay that the new generation of gamers demands. For example, you might complete a story mission involving a shady corporate mogul who sponsors an urban sports event, leading to a storyline about infiltration. You pose as a star skateboarder to get close to your unsuspecting target. The comedic and dramatic possibilities are endless. But even if that storyline is unbelievably fun, the developer's first priority is typically refining the city's essence. From the unique radio stations to the random events that pop up as you roam, from the way pedestrians react to your presence to the moral complexities your character faces. Skateboarding might be overshadowed by the bigger arcs, a new empire-building mechanic, or a unique approach to how your characters form alliances in the underworld. Reflect for a moment on what made the earlier installments so beloved. Grand Theft Auto Vice City dazzled with its 80s-inspired atmosphere, while San Andreas enthralled players with its sprawling map that extended from Los Santos' urban vibe to desert wastelands. Grand Theft Auto 5 captured hearts with the comedic interplay of its three main characters and the experimental chaos that emerges when you bounce among them. Each game invests enormous resources to polish its main mechanics, and that focus is part of why the series consistently breaks sales records. Meanwhile, the buzz around any potential release date for Grand Theft Auto 6 intensifies year by year, with rumors pegging it to land in the mid-2020s. Some claim we might learn more about it in the next few months. Others speculate about a longer wait. Regardless of when it arrives, one certainty remains. Rockstar takes its time to craft a masterpiece that resonates for many years to come. This is not a studio known for half measures. So, if they decide to incorporate skateboarding, we can expect them to do it thoroughly rather than as a half-baked afterthought. This best of both worlds approach is precisely why fans hold on to the possibility with such hope. Of course, let us not diminish the modding community that might jump on the chance to code an unofficial skateboard experience as soon as the game is released on PC. Enterprising creators have already done wonders with Grand Theft Auto 5, coding everything from superhero transformations to elaborate simulations of real-world driving conditions. The thirst for fresh experiences in that open-world environment is boundless, and skateboarding expansions created by fans would be no exception. Yet, even the most robust mod cannot rival the polish that Rockstar itself could achieve if it dedicated a portion of its official resources to the project. The question, as always, is whether that portion of resources is justified. To gauge that, we look at the success of certain niche additions in earlier games. Some players found themselves obsessed with the virtual tennis matches and realized they spent hours perfecting their backhand while ignoring the sirens of the main storyline. Others became addicted to playing the in-game stock market or pouring money into customizing their cars. A fully fleshed-out skateboard mechanic with realistic animations, stunts, and citywide skate spots could be similarly addictive, especially in the era of streaming. Think of the potential for viral challenge videos, 10 wild skateboard escapes in Grand Theft Auto 6, or how to bomb down the city's steepest hill while surviving a 5-star wanted level. But then we arrive at the biggest stinger, the dreaded question of complexity. If Rockstar invests in skateboarding, everything from the game's geometry to its ragdoll physics might need an overhaul. The surfaces have to be recognized as grindable or not. The game engine must handle collisions at weird angles and speeds that typical on-foot or driving mechanics do not require. Suddenly, the difference between a polished rail and a scraggly fence becomes crucial to gameplay. That might mean rewriting how the environment is coded, ensuring that the seamless open world does not break the moment you land a crooked board slide on a surface the developers forgot to label properly. Some might say that is a small price to pay for a feature that could single-handedly redefine the game's culture. Others worry that it might overshadow more central improvements fans desperately want, like more robust interiors, dynamic weather systems, or more advanced character interactions. Let us also consider how skateboarding might influence that cat-and-mouse dynamic between criminals and law enforcement. The cat is heavily armed and typically arrives in bulletproof vehicles. The mouse tries to slip away, blending into city traffic or scurrying into hidden alleys. Add a skateboard to the mouse's repertoire, and you get new chase sequences that defy the usual get into a car and blitz. What if you hopped onto a board after bailing from a flaming car or dropping from a helicopter onto a rooftop, then clipped along building ledges before jumping down onto fire escapes, rolling your way to safety? It would be cinematic gold. Yet almost every new possibility demands more from the AI. The police behavior might need to adapt to chase a board-riding suspect differently than one in a car or running on foot, or else the feature risks feeling incomplete or comedic in unintended ways. Now, if you are loving the excitement of imagining these scenarios, do not forget to subscribe or follow, so you will not miss future deep dives into the fascinating quirks of open-world gaming. Your support helps keep these engaging explorations rolling. Skateboarding or no skateboarding, we can still appreciate what Grand Theft Auto has already accomplished in bridging genres. From stealth missions in restricted compounds to comedic moments of yoga in hillside mansions, the series thrives on mixing different gameplay styles into one cohesive whole. Every new idea has to negotiate for space in that giant mosaic. For instance, if the game invests heavily in an updated stealth system, that might push out the resources that could have gone to a skateboard system. Or if they decide to build an entire casino empire, reminiscent of the expansions in older installments, that likewise competes for time and budget. One possible outcome is that Rockstar might plant a small seed for skateboarding, a subtle reference, a cameo in a side mission, or something that modders can override and expand. They could keep it minimal, a short skateboard mission that does not attempt to replicate the complexity of dedicated skateboarding titles. This cameo approach might satisfy some players while leaving the more hardcore dreamers longing for a full skate experience. But even a cameo can feel half-hearted if it underdelivers. The bar is high, and fans want to see the synergy between the city's layout and skating. They want to see ramps, half-pipes in hidden corners, maybe even entire missions revolving around infiltration via stunt sequences. Anything less might feel like a quick gimmick. We also cannot ignore the potential synergy with multiplayer, which has become a major piece of Rockstar's ongoing success. Grand Theft Auto Online soared in popularity, letting players team up or compete with one another across a persistent city. If skateboarding were introduced, you can practically hear the rallying cry of crews forming urban skate gangs that dominate certain neighborhoods. Organized skate events or tournaments could erupt, while other players might try to sabotage these gatherings for profit or turf wars. That is the emergent story potential that open-world games thrive upon, letting the community tell the story in unpredictable ways. The possibilities for stunts, trick competitions, or parkour-style infiltration of secure buildings give the online environment a brand new dimension. But, once again, implementing a robust skateboarding system for thousands of concurrent players means an exponential challenge for the developers, who must balance the servers, physics engines, and potential exploits. We have covered a lot, from the magnitude of coding a workable skateboarding foundation to the comedic gold that might emerge when a clumsy protagonist tries to outrun the police on a board. We have talked about cultural integration, expansions, the possible infiltration of brand deals, and whether focusing on skateboarding could overshadow more important features. But the question remains, what, if anything, can push such a dream over the finish line? Ultimately, it may rest on the creative vision behind Grand Theft Auto 6. If the lead designers feel skateboarding intersects meaningfully with their story arcs, environment design, or thematic heart, it could move from a wish list item to an indispensable piece of the puzzle. Maybe it becomes a staple that redefines how we navigate the city and approach missions. Or maybe it remains an unfulfilled rumor that fans keep alive through speculative discussions and fan art. As we inch closer to the day that Grand Theft Auto 6 steals the spotlight, the possibility of skateboarding remains an alluring what-if. Could it be the surprise that Rockstar unveils months before release, igniting frenzied speculation and pre-orders? Could it be an unheralded minigame, discovered after players spend hours exploring every nook of the map? Or is it a cherished fantasy that, once again, resurfaces in community mod projects? Another example of fans taking destiny into their own hands. Any way you spin it, the concept of skateboarding storms into the conversation with a vitality that underscores why Grand Theft Auto is not just about carjacking and shootouts. It is about living in a vibrant world where nearly every whim, no matter how absurd, might be possible. From the vantage point of that battered old skateboard, you can see how the city lights shimmer, how the sidewalk bustles with potential, how innocent tourists watch you in shock, and how the next corner might hold a band of criminals or a roving patrol car. The dream simultaneously excites us with wonder and burdens the developers with complexity, and that tension is precisely the hallmark of the best open-world fantasies. When done right, we get the game of our lives. When done wrong, we get something that collapses under its own ambition. There you have it, the passionate debate over a single plank on wheels, swirling with the unstoppable force that is Grand Theft Auto. Whether Rockstar ever embraces skateboarding or not, the conversation alone reflects our hunger for bigger, bolder, and more immersive ways to navigate a world that thrives on chaos. In the end, perhaps that is the real story, the unquenchable appetite of players who envision a city so alive and so indifferent to moral constraints that even the improbable can become real. And while a skateboard may or may not be the next piece of that puzzle, it is the perfect symbol for the boundless creativity and daring leaps that carry this series forward.